Imagine it's a Monday morning in Boston, 1721. The city is gripped by fear, and the morning paper is less of a leisure read and more of a survival guide. This is the New England Courant, published on August 7th. Our lead story today, a medical civil war breaking out in the streets over a radical new procedure to stop the smallpox. On the frontier, the government has just authorized an emergency troop deployment to counter rising hostilities. And to the north, reports are coming in of a massive fire that has leveled an entire settlement. By analyzing this single surviving broadsheet, we can see exactly how colonial Americans navigated simultaneous crises of public health, border security, and civic leadership. Treating this 300-year-old artifact as breaking news reveals the high-stakes reality of the era. It shows a population dealing with raw anxieties that haven't aged a day. We begin with the paper's editorial voice, writing under the combative persona of John Checkley. Checkley immediately targets the elitism of the era, mocking those who idle away 4 years at college, and suggesting that a degree doesn't necessarily equal wisdom. He treats his column like a serial drama, teasing his readers by promising to give no further account of myself until this day fortnight. His sharpest barbs are reserved for the city's leaders. He calls them out as hypocrites who act like faithful shepherds, but in reality preach up the pox. This is a direct attack on the establishment. Checkley accuses authorities of actively encouraging the spread of disease under the guise of public protection. This satirical broadside reveals a deep-seated anti-establishment sentiment in 1721. Even before the Revolution, Bostonians were developing a profound distrust of the people in charge. That brings us to our lead story, the medical controversy Checkley was so angry about. The town's select men have just held an emergency meeting, calling together every medical practitioner in Boston to rule on the new practice of smallpox inoculation. The medical consensus is swift and negative. The practitioners unanimously condemned a procedure as rash and dubious, warning of its fatal and dangerous consequence. The paper then turns its fire on the religious figures who are actually championing the procedure. It mocks these 6 gentlemen of piety and learning, calling them profoundly ignorant of the matter. To drive the point home, page 2 lists the terrifying physical toll reported by those who have tried the inoculation. The Courant documents violent high fevers and other severe reactions, using these specific symptoms to justify the public's fear. This clash creates a fascinating historical irony. In 1721, the religious elite were the ones pushing for medical innovation, while the medical establishment fought to stop it. It shows a society where the lines of expertise were being violently redrawn during a crisis. While the city fights over medicine, the government is looking toward the frontier, where a different kind of threat is emerging. The paper reports that last Thursday, 60-odd soldiers boarded a transport from Castle William. Their mission is to respond to what the paper calls the daring insults and intended hostilities of the Eastern Indians. The rhetoric here is incredibly sharp. The Courant frames the conflict by labeling the colonists as poor, affrighted strangers, and the indigenous population as treacherous barbarians. In a rapid-fire news roundup, we also find a dispatch from Westfield, via a Mr. Daniel Bagg, reporting on a disaster further north. He confirms a massive fire in Quebec has left 150 houses laid in ashes. And finally, the local news concludes with the routine Boston town meeting, announcing the election of Clark, Cook, Hutchinson, and Clark as representatives. This mix of news is jarring. Seeing a life-and-death smallpox debate right next to reports of frontier war and mundane local elections shows the sheer volume of threats Bostonians faced every single day. Ultimately, this edition of the New England Courant isn't just a list of events. It's a snapshot of a society under immense multi-front pressure. Whether it's the fear of a dangerous consequence in a doctor's office or treacherous barbarians on the border, this is the language of a population that felt itself in a state of constant emergency. Yet the ship logs and election results show that even in the middle of a plague and a war, the machinery of civic life kept turning. These primary sources remind us that history was once the breaking news of its time. To understand the past, we have to look beyond the dates in a textbook and read the media of the era.
The Daily Dispatch, history in print.